Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be out there in IAG land and integrated resort land. Welcome to IAG Live. And I'm coming at you still from Melbourne, Australia, here for another week before I head over to San Diego. And we're here to give you all the news of the week and some commentary on our industry from myself and from Ben. But before we speak to Ben, we will bring in, as always, in the studio, our live studio producer, Oscar. Come on in, Oscar Guiaro.
Hello.
Hey, Oscar, how are you?
Fine, and you?
I'm good. I'm very happy and looking forward to another episode of IAG Live. And see, you're in the office there?
Yeah.
Back
Full
in
time,
Macau?
Yeah, back in
Yep, that's it.
Macau.
No more Spain?
No more Spain for the time being.
For the time being. Oh, well, I'll be back there soon in Macau. Won't be too long, but taking advantage of the quiet Q1 to get some of the international travel done and meet people around the world. So thanks for everything, Oscar, and we'll catch up with you a bit later.
Okay, see you.
See you, Oscar. And joining me today on IAG Live, as always, or as and when he can, anyway, our managing editor Ben Blaschke. Come on in, Ben.
Hey, Andrew, how you going?
Back with the fish.
Back with my fish, yes. We spoke yesterday and you were a bit thrown off that I wasn't in front of my fish.
I thought, who's this imposter? Who's this fake Ben? That can't be the real Ben. There's no fish.
Exactly. No, I'm back in my comfortable territory with my fish behind me for support.
Right, and you're in Sydney?
I am, yeah.
But you're going to be in Manila soon, right?
Yeah, heading over to Manila. We've obviously got our first Manila After Dark of the year on the 14th of April at La Vie Resort and Casino. So looking forward to that. And obviously catch up with a few clients, seeing lots of people. Got a busy week planned.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit to do there in Manila. This first quarter, it's always a little bit quiet in Q1. It's the quietest quarter for us. And you were saying to me the other day that it's a little bit of obviously there's some industry news, but there's not the kind of crazy waterfall of industry news we often have in Q3 and Q4.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's cyclical, isn't it? And we have weeks and sometimes even months where there's not a whole heap of big news. There's always little snippets happening, but yeah, a little bit of a quieter news week, I would say, certainly in terms of headline news stories.
Well, it does give us the chance to delve into a few. We're going to do fewer stories today. We're going to look at 8 stories today. Some of them are actually quite sort of quirky little stories, but I thought that they would lead to an interesting discussion on different areas of the industry. So anyway, why don't we get into that? So Oscar, do you want to bring up the first one? I can't remember what it is. Oh, yeah. So Dynam's controlling Sato family. So the reason I added this was we don't really talk about Pachinko very much. And, we probably should have a little bit of a chat about Pachinko. So perhaps, Ben, you can run us through what this story was about, but then we can talk a little bit more about the Pachinko industry in a wider context.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is, no major earth-shattering news. It's really just a shuffling of shares around the family. Really, I mean, it was gifted by one of the Sato family to their children, all above 18. So keeping it in the family, really. I think there are. Well, there's 5 or 6 members of the Sato family who own a controlling share in the company. They're all deemed interests among themselves. So they all deemed to have about a 56% stake, each of them roughly. Yoji Sato, of course, is sort of the, I guess you'd call him the patriarch of the family there. He's sort of a founder of Dynam, and still has a pretty significant voice there in the family, and he's inside our Asian Gaming 50 each year too, Andrew. But as you say, I mean, I guess this is more about Pachinko as a whole.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're going to use the word patriarch. I thought that was the perfect word. Actually, Oscar, why don't you pull up the Power 50 from 2025? Just pull that up, the list, and we could talk about Pachinko a little bit. There's 2 families. I mean, a lot of our viewers may not really understand the Pachinko industry very well. Obviously, Pachinko is not gambling officially in Japan, but of course it is. It's referred to as amusement. It was a $40 billion a year industry, US $40 billion. Oscar, maybe go to the list, go to iagpower50.com and go to the list for 2025. Technically, it's not gambling, but of course it is. And you go into a Pachinko parlor, they're loud, noisy, smoky places, and you buy a whole heap of these ball bearings and you shove them through the machine. And I guess it's kind of a little like a slot machine, but not really. There is a thing called Pachi slot, which is a lot more like a slot machine, but created in a way to come under Pachinko rules. And then if you win, you get some cuddly teddy bears and you take them to the place next door and convert them into cash, basically. So it's kind of a way around laws in Japan to create a gambling option. It used to be a $40 billion a year industry, $40 billion US dollar a year industry. So pretty big. It's over the last, I guess, maybe 15 years. It's declined down to about a $20 billion a year industry. So it's an industry in decline. We often refer to it as a sunset industry. Maybe, Oscar, you can zoom that up a little bit and you can grab the 2. There's 2 Pachinko people. There's Sato, who is Dynam, and the other one is, I've gone blank. What has it been? Help me out. What's the other group there?
It's the guy from Maruhan is the other group.
Maruhan. So Oscar, find the Maruhan guy. There he is, Maruhan group. Oh yeah, Han Chang Wu. He's quite old. And yeah, so we got he and these guys are both sort of patriarchs. Maybe click on we'll go to Sato first because that's the one we did the story on. Click on that and bring up Yoji Sato. I think that's a very old picture.
Yes. Yeah, well, the Pachinko guys tend not to have a lot of pictures of themselves floating around. They tend to be a little private.
They very much are. So the Pachinko industry in Japan is a very fragmented industry. The industry leaders are Dynam and Maruhan, and I think they've both got approximately 10%, or maybe the higher one, which is, I think, Dynam is the higher one, right? I think it's got like maybe 15% of the industry well, there you go. Large individual. Second largest. There you go. So actually, it's the other way around. Maruhan is number 1. Maybe one of them's got like 12% and one's got 11% or something like that. And then there's all these other, and they are listed companies, and then there's all these other small operators as well. But the interesting thing that a lot of people don't know about the Pachinko industry is because there is a bit of a stigma attached to it in Japan. It's generally run by Zainichi Japanese. Now, people may not know what Zainichi Japanese are. Zainichi Japanese are people who are actually ethnically Koreans. So they were Koreans 2, 3, 4 generations ago, moved to Japan, and now they're generations down. So they're born in Japan, speak perfect Japanese, grew up in Japan. They are Japanese. They even have Japanese names, but they still are sort of considered ethnically Koreans. And, Japanese sort of, they love their racial purity in Japan. So if you've got a bit of a history of being Korean, even if it's several generations ago, you're sort of, you're a Zainichi Japanese, and the Koreans some of these guys are actually North Koreans, kind of before there was a South Korea and North Korea, before the Korean War. Some of these guys came from the North Korea part of Korea. And then as immigrants to a country often have to do, they have to set up their own businesses. And they got involved in this pachinko industry. So that's kind of a little bit of history and a bit of information about pachinko. So the two dominant players, Maruhan and Dynam. So I thought it might be nice in IAG Live just to give viewers who may not be aware a little bit of a sort of a briefing there on the pachinko industry in Japan. You must have been to some pachinko parlors at some point, haven't you been?
Yeah, visited a few, Andrew. Haven't played, but I've had a bit of a look inside. I remember trying to take a photo of a pachinko parlor inside and being sort of shooed out the door. No, don't want you taking any photos in here.
Yeah,
so that was a bit of a no-no. But one thing about Dynam that's interesting too, Andrew, and it sort of plays to the decline of the industry. They've made it no secret that they're in the process of downsizing a little. They're transferring a lot of their pachinko halls into what they call low-cost playing halls. So that's sort of in response to a lot of the new regulations in the past few years around pachinko have been basically deciding that machines should have lower payout ratios, or certainly less large prizes. So making it more about low-cost entertainment. So this concept that Dynam has of low-cost playing halls is trying to play into that, trying to position pachinko as less of a high-risk gambler's pursuit, more of a low-risk entertainment pursuit.
So that's kind of like a time-on-device approach, we would say, for slot machines, as opposed to slot machines in Macau, where they're highly volatile because people want a result because they're in Macau for a short period of time and they've got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oscar, maybe go to the other guy. Maybe go back to the list and go to Han, Mr. Han there. Han, and again, I think this is quite an old picture too, to be honest. I think he's see that 101 views there. That might be his age.
He's well into his 90s now. Yeah,
well into his 90s. Yeah, I thought he was pushing 100. I mean, these guys don't hand off to their families. I mean, they have their families as isn't that interesting? Han's story is intriguing. After secretly entering Japan in 1945, so he would have entered from Korea, I reckon. He obtained a special resident status, graduated from Hosei University in 1952. Isn't that interesting? So Han, who became a Japanese national in 2002 from there you go. His intention to donate his entire fortune before his death to fostering Korean and Japanese relations. There you go. So there's quite a bit of a Korean element to the pachinko industry. And our Power 50, obviously, we have our gala dinner every year on the first Friday in November. So this year, I think it's Friday, November the 6th, if I remember correctly, 5th or 6th. I think it's the 6th.
6th, yeah.
It is the 6th, yeah. And people tend to look at those profiles of the people just during that time, but it's quite good to go and have a look at them all year round. All right, enough on that. Let's go back, Oscar, to the next story. So I just thought we'd have a little chat about pachinko since we had the time. Sands China considering further investment to improve Macau offering with Venetian Macau. So it's a bit of a tale of two cities, Sands, at the moment, isn't it? I mean, Sands China obviously is just Macau, and Marina Bay Sands is owned by Las Vegas Sands, not by Sands China. But Sands, ultimately, it's, let's be honest, it's all kind of the one company. But of course it's not. I know before people say, no, it's not the one company. Of course it's not. But, it's all got somewhat common ownership ultimately. And they're really sort of kicking butt in Singapore. But there's been a few questions raised around Sands in Macau, mostly by outgoing chairman and CEO, or former chairman and CEO, now a senior advisor to Sands, Rob Goldstein, Ben.
Yeah, well, Rob sort of quite famously 6 months ago during an earnings call came out and said that he was disappointed in the result for Sands China. And one of the areas that they've identified is that perhaps they haven't been in the fight, in the promotional battle in Macau. Of course, the promotional battle has been very intense post-COVID. He made the comment that perhaps Sands thought that the quality of their offering and the scale of their offering in Macau would be enough, but that they needed to get involved in this dogfight, really, for players, for premium mass customers. much more intensely, and they've vowed to do that, and they've started to do that. Of course, the other thing that Sands China has done in recent years is invest heavily. They converted Sands Cotai Central into the London and Macau. They've done quite a few upgrades around Four Seasons and the Plaza and bits and pieces here and there. So this story with saying that the Venetian Macau will be next, which makes a lot of sense. It is one of the older properties in Macau and probably time for a bit of refreshment. Was actually made during JP Morgan Access Forum in Las Vegas with Sands executives talking about their approach moving forward. So, Sands has never shied away from their desire to invest in Macau and to invest in Singapore. So Venetian Macau likely next, and probably followed by the Parisian, Andrew.
Yeah, well, obviously the big dynamic that's happened in Sands in recent weeks has been Patrick Dumont coming on as chairman and CEO from the 1st of March. So he's been in this month only. I did meet him spent some time with him in Las Vegas when I was there a couple of weeks ago. And actually, I think I met him on the second day he was in the job. But of course, he's been with Sands for a very long period, a couple of decades. It's not like he's new to the company or anything like that. And, a younger man compared to the people that have been running the company in the past. Rob's been with the company many, many decades and was one of the very first employees. I believe he hired our very own Scott Messenger, who is our chief of staff now, but who was with Sands for 16 years. And, interesting to see, it's now 5 years since Mr. Adelson's passed away, really moving into a new era with Sands. Luckily they've got Marina Bay Sands because it's really kicking butt. Obviously, they don't own a property in Las Vegas anymore. They sold the sort of spiritual home, Venetian and Palazzo in Las Vegas for $6.25 billion to Apollo, who have increased the EBITDA of Venetian substantially during that time. But that's a win for everyone, and that's given Sands, much needed capital to invest in. Well, there you go. Scott's given us a message. He's obviously watching. Rob's been there for 33 years. So, what a great effort by Rob Goldstein. But given much needed capital to invest in Marina Bay Sands, they're investing that $8 billion, or is it $9 billion now that they're investing? I can't remember. It's some ferocious amount of money like that. So it'd be good to see them upgrading Venetian, because it's what, 06 or 07, I can never remember. I think it's 07 it opened. Yeah, it was 07. 07 that it opened. No major works to the hotel since then. I mean, the hotel rooms I'm talking about. Of course, there's been turnover in F&B outlets and other offerings, and they've brought in the team lab and various other things. Ben, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to comment that I always have a chuckle when I hear companies like Sands China talk about underperformance. I mean, the numbers they print may be lower than what they want, but I mean, every other gaming company in the world would love those numbers. So it's very relative
absolutely.
when we're talking Macau.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. But I mean, they're up to $3 billion EBITDA in Marina Bay Sands, and I think they want to do the same here too. So, it's really a two-horse race at the top in Macau, Galaxy and Sands, although MGM's leading the four coming up. I think we'll talk about MGM a bit later. But MGM's been the real overperformer since COVID, haven't they? And that's probably what Rob was alluding to, that they weren't in that dogfight when MGM got that first quarter and everybody put it down to every reason under the sun except them doing a good job. And then they repeated that quarter after quarter after quarter, and they've done a very good job. So that's created that they were the ones, I think, that stirred the pot, that got the dogfight going. And then Lawrence Melco had a go at them, and then Bill Hornbuckle said, well, look at our EBITDA, we're just being competitive. And I think Macau's now characterized by uber competition, hyper competitive environment. I think I mentioned this before, when I first came to Macau, wasn't too much competition. Everyone was just picking money up off the ground. But I remember saying at the time, one day this will be a hyper competitive environment like Las Vegas is, and now it is, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, exactly what you say, Andrew. I think every earnings call now, there's a question from an analyst about the competitive environment in Macau. And the standard answer for the past year has been still super competitive. It's probably stabilized into where it's going to sit for the next few years. This is just the new reality for Macau.
But I mean, the numbers are great. I mean, what do we do in GGR now? We're sort of on a run rate of about 31, 32 billion US dollars a year, which is, over 2/3 of the high watermark in 2013 with junkets, which was 45 billion, but would have obviously no junket payments to make, or very few junket payments to make. So EBITDA, I'm actually surprised that EBITDA is running only at about 90% of what it was pre-COVID. It should be higher than that. I know it's higher for MGM, but average across the board for the others, it's about 90%. Must be close to 100%. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Yes, interesting. Lawrence likes his names, doesn't he? He's got great names for things. Noir and, I don't know, various other things. Do we know what REM is, where he got the name from? I don't know.
I know the band, maybe the famous band REM. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of.
Great song.
Yeah, everybody
I don't
hurts.
know. Remember that he was going to call this property Libertine originally. Pre-COVID, the plan was to convert it into Libertine, but then COVID came along and plans changed. So I assume it's REM and not REM. So I'd say it's REM. So
it might change again the way he changes names.
Yeah, well, look, again, it's this whole again, it sort of plays into the previous conversation about the promotional environment and companies converting rooms into suite products, which is what this hotel will be. It will be all suite, I believe. And so, yeah, again, just bringing Melco back into that fight a little more as well.
Yeah, he's tried a few things, hasn't he? He did the countdown thing with the countdown on the. I mean, you can see it there in the picture. Actually, you can with the guy rubbing out the numbers and putting the numbers back up again. Of course, this all happened because it was originally Hard Rock, and then they were both fighting each other in Japan for a license in Japan. Neither of them got one, by the way. And I think he decided, well, I can't be in partnership with Hard Rock. Maybe I have that wrong, but it might be more complicated than that. If somebody at Melco wants to disabuse me of an incorrect notion, please, I'm all ears. But originally it was Hard Rock, wasn't it? And then they were both going for Japan license. Suddenly it wasn't Hard Rock anymore, and he was kind of at a bit of a loss for a name, I think. And then it was did it go straight from Hard Rock to Countdown? I think it did. And then he announced it was going to be Libertine, but then that idea never came to fruition.
Well, the countdown was counting down the clock for Morpheus to open next door. So they called it Countdown, and it was the Morpheus was counting down to. And from memory, the whole change of branding from Hard Rock followed the whole Melco Crown separation. So it was after that. So there were a few changes around brandings following that whole situation taking place.
Oh, well, it'll be interesting to see. When's it opening? Second half. They haven't said anything more than second half?
No, that's all we know at this stage. I think earlier they'd said third quarter, but we'll see if it's third quarter or fourth quarter.
But the main thing from a commercial point of view, I mean, from a serious business point of view, is the fact that they're going to make it all suite, right? This is the trend now because everyone's chasing that premium mass market, and I mean, we call it premium mass. It's really it's kind of VIP direct in a way, but everyone's chasing that market of that sort of independent traveler, but richer independent traveler. You know, business typical player, good player is probably owns a business in Guangdong province somewhere, likes to come to Macau a few times a year. Everyone's chasing that guy, and that guy wants a suite. He doesn't want just an ordinary hotel room. Maybe he wants to bring his wife or his girlfriend, have a nice trip to Macau for 3 or 4 days. And that's the sort of the key player, the key demographic everyone's chasing. And because they want suites, everybody's converting hotel rooms into suites. So actually the key count's going down, even though we have a very low key count in Macau. And that pushes the ADR up, right? So I think the average ADR in Macau, what is it, 2,500 Hong Kong or something? And then when you get to these suites, it's probably even more. It's probably more like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Of course, a lot of it's comped, but this is kind of the business dynamic that's going on in Macau at the moment. And Singapore did it too, right?
Yeah, exactly right. That's what we're seeing. We've seen MGM announced that they'll be opening their suite product next month. We know Sands that's sort of what the the Londoner is all about, is sweet product
Yep.
in the old Sheraton. Which, I mean, last time I stayed year and a half ago, two and a half years ago, when I came over for Jason's wedding, I stayed at the old Sheraton shortly before they closed it down to convert it to suite. So yeah, this is what everybody is doing at the moment, and that's the way to go, it looks like.
All right, next one, Oscar. Yeah, I included this. I had an ulterior motive in including this. So perhaps you can run through the story, and then I'll provide some commentary about partnering up with the mainland.
Look, it's all a bit technical and complicated what Hong Kong Jockey Club is doing in mainland China. They are, promoting horse racing, and they've got a bit of a partnership over there in Guangzhou around. I think they've got a track there. They've got horse breeding facilities, horse training facilities, and really, a lot of partnership with the mainland in terms of promoting their product and promoting the sport in general. So this is really linked to all of that, just generating this horse themed, not just horse racing, but horse sports,
Equestrian.
equestrian, all of those things.
Yeah.
Is sort of part of this sports tourism push that they're relying on just to grow brand recognition, grow their audience, really.
2 cities, 3 race courses. That's interesting. Yeah, so my sort of first thing, Oscar, is maybe go to the Power 50 again and look up Winfried Engelbeck Brechters. He's normally around number 10 or 11 on the Power 50. Where was he this year, Winfried? Oh, he was down in 17. That's quite low this year for him. He's normally up in the maybe around there. But if you click on him, you'll get the number. I mean, we must have the revenue number in there for Hong Kong Jockey Club down there somewhere, right? Scroll down a bit, Oscar. I mean, there we go. Look, 39 US Ford. Let's call it 40 billion. So a lot of people don't realize that Hong Kong Jockey Club does a huge amount of gaming turnover. Even in the heart of the pandemic, Hong Kong Jockey Club didn't miss a beat or a single race meet for that matter. Yeah, they had these race meets with no crowds. So they have the horse racing, they have the football betting, only legal football betting in Hong Kong, and China for that. Oh no, I can't say in China because there's all the welfare lottery, right? But they have the Mark 6 lottery as well. I mean, they're usually somewhere around that 40 billion or just under 40 billion US dollar turnover. So it just goes to show how massive they are. And this is why some people's eyebrows get raised when Winfried's name comes up in the Power 50. But they don't realize what a big gaming organization it is. Okay, I was going to go back to the story. Now, what I wanted to say was you get these stories from time to time about something happening on the mainland that feels connected to gaming. And Ben, you've been with us for long enough now. I mean, 13 years, I think you've been writing about the industry to know that every few years something pops up about horse racing in mainland China, or there's some kind of play for fun casino in Hainan Island, or there'll be some story where there'll be some kind of connection between gaming and the mainland. And the analysts in the US, or the analysts who not really that familiar with the Asian gaming industry, particularly the Chinese gaming industry, get all excited and think, oh my God, they're going to tap into the 1.4 billion market directly, because while Macau is the only legal place in China where people can come to gamble in a casino, only something like 4% of people in China have ever been to Macau. 96% of people in China have never been to Macau. And you need a visa to get to Macau, which is not so hard to get these days, but neither is it easy for some people either. So there's a lot of excitement around, wow, imagine you could get some big commercial gaming enterprise that was directly accessible by mainland China. The analysts go crazy over that and think that the valuation of such a company would be massive. So you get these stories like this, and sometimes all the analysts get really excited, but it never really seems to come to anything, does it, Ben?
No, I've seen that scenario play out many times, Andrew, and it's not going to come to anything either in that sense.
No.
I mean, I think the best that any company can do, be it a Macau operator, be it Hong Kong Jockey Club, is just to increase their branding presence through other means in the mainland. So often you'll see, when they used to hold the big boxing events in Macau, you'd see a lot of Venetian and Sands logos in the background, just sort of get the brand awareness out there.
So, well, what Sands is doing now with the NBA, for example, that's a great example of that.
Yeah, exactly right. And Galaxy, of course, with I think they've got some concerts and all sorts of things happening there at the moment. So, yeah, I mean that's really what it's all about. We're certainly not going to see any widespread gambling in mainland China probably in our lifetime, Andrew.
Well, certainly while this president is president, we're certainly not going to see any direct gambling in China that is commercially available to a Western company. The nearest you're going to get is something like the existing welfare lottery that they have, which is within China. Yeah, it's not going to happen. So anyway, that was my ulterior motive putting the story up. What's next, Oscar? Yes, Japan. Let's have a bit of a chat about Japan. So we'll start with, again, let's do the same thing. You run through the story and then I'll give a bit of commentary on thoughts on Japan.
Yeah, look, this is a bit of an analysis from consultant Scott Fisher, just looking at sort of a high level what's going on in Japan at the moment. Of course, we know there is going to be a second round of IR bidding taking place next year. The first round only handed out one license to MGM in Osaka. There were 3 licenses on offer, and that means there are still 2 licenses on offer. So there could be up to 2 licenses issued once the process runs through next year. There could be none, who knows? But at the moment, obviously, we have Hokkaido has expressed interest, Aichi has expressed interest. There's been talk about will Tokyo throw its hat in the ring. Yokohama probably won't. Wakayama, Nagasaki, a lot of unknowns at this stage. So really looking at this, but also looking at the fact that, what is the reality around this? What are the chances of this really taking place? Well, there are still concerns around sites in Hokkaido. Of course, they pulled out last time because there was not really enough time to run environmental studies and tests around their proposed site. Similar concerns have been put forward around Aichi. All these problems, Andrew, very, very well. There are also massive development costs. There are also concerns over the requirements around the size of any development and whether ROI in a place like Hokkaido makes it worth it. So, many questions still to be answered, I think, in his second round of bidding, Andrew, which is what this story takes a bit of a deep dive into.
Yeah, well, I remember when we got all excited by Japan and we even launched IAG Japan back in 2019, and I went to Japan every month for a couple of years and spent countless hours meeting with various stakeholders and interested parties and government entities. And, I'm going to evoke the words of our dearly departed Nick Niglio here. I remember talking to Nick about it. May his soul rest in peace. He was a great friend of IAG's, a personal friend of mine. I remember having a drink with him and saying, we're going to do all this stuff in Japan this and Japan that. And he looked at me like I was an excitable young kid with his wise expression, and he just said, every time I've ever done something in Japan, it's been problematic. It's been difficult. He used a few choice words I won't repeat here, but he just sort of gave me the message. He said, "You're gonna find Japan. It's a really, really difficult place to operate in." And my word, was he right? I learnt from Nick there, and he was absolutely right. And then when I started actually going to Japan, not as a tourist, but as a businessman, kind of investigating the possibility of, will business be viable here? It's just such a tough operating environment. And I think, as Scott Fisher said here, one of the things, I think up in the top paragraph, Oscar, maybe if you scroll up, one of the comments was about high development and operational costs, ongoing concerns over feasibility. And this is the one, questions over whether respected international operators can be lured back, because it's kind of once bitten, twice shy, right? And they've had, Melco spent a ferocious amount of money. Galaxy spent a ferocious amount of money. A lot of companies spent a lot of money trying to get into Japan, and ultimately it all went pear-shaped. That new mayor came into, you mentioned Yokohama, 100% Yokohama won't do it. That new mayor came into Yokohama. He's very anti. And the problem was, much as in Thailand, a communication problem between the government and the people of the country. And every time I heard integrated resorts being raised in Japan. It was always, first of all, it was always worded casino. It wasn't worded integrated resort. And the next word out of anybody's mouth was always addiction. And so the negative side, the social cost side of IRs was pushed over and over again. I don't think Japan's going to shake that. And the average Japanese person has never seen a casino. His impression of a casino is some kind of gangster movie he's seen. So maybe some Hong Kong, God of Gamblers movie or something like that. And as you and I, Ben, know, the industry's not like that at all. The industry is a very modern, forward-facing, vibrant industry offering a range of entertainment experiences. Casino is just one part of it. Yes, it's the financial engine. We all know that. But you can go in and spend a week in some of these integrated resorts, never leave, and never walk on the casino floor. But of course, that's not being communicated well in Japan. So unless they make some significant change to what they did last time, and change in Japan, and the Japanese do not mix. They're not big on change. I don't know. I'm not optimistic about it this time, as it was last time. I'm down with Scott Fisher here. I think this could be a real struggle for him.
I actually think, Andrew, the best opportunity for the message to get out to Japan about what an integrated resort really is actually MGM Osaka. I don't think attitudes will change until the Japanese people have a chance to see that property in person. That's the only way they're going to really understand what an integrated resort is. And then it'll be interesting to see whether attitudes can change and whether other jurisdictions might start to go, oh, this is what they were talking about. Time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, Japanese women tend to travel a bit, but Japanese men don't. It's a very monolinguistic society, a very monocultural society. So when Japanese men travel overseas, generally they have translators. They're not very worldly. They're very isolated into their culture, and their culture is very different to the rest of Asia. Never mind the rest of the world. So yeah, I think they have to see it. I think you're right, Ben. I think that this time round, I'm not nearly as optimistic as I was last time. And I think maybe we need to wait till 2030 if indeed MGM does get open in 2030. Hopefully they do. And yeah, let the Japanese see and understand and go, oh my God, the sky didn't fall in after all. It wasn't the end of the world. And in fact, this place is quite nice. There's quite a lot to see and do, and then maybe we might get something. But look, I think if there was one, I mean, Nagasaki is burnt from what happened in Nagasaki last time. That was terrible, what happened in Nagasaki last time. If anyone wants to know, go to asgam.com and start searching Nagasaki. We wrote many, many pieces on what a disaster that was. Wakayama, forget that. That was the Sun City one. That's not going to happen. Yokohama is definitely not going to happen. No one's going to want it in Kansai because you've already got MGM, so they want to, leave that for MGM. Tokyo would be fantastic if they had one in Tokyo, but I can't see a big city like Tokyo taking that kind of risk in their minds. I think that they would want a smaller place to do it. I think Hokkaido is probably the best chance because it's separate from the rest of Japan. It's a smaller island. It's more self-contained. They did have some positive momentum last time. But then ultimately somebody in power decided not to do it. All of that rubbish around, we didn't have time to do an environmental study. I mean, that was all just an excuse. They just didn't want to do it. Ultimately, they decided, let's not do this. And I think if they could get Hokkaido up, and Hard Rock was the obvious. Hard Rock's, to Hard Rock's credit, they have hung around in Hokkaido and hung around and stayed in there and done the right thing. So if Hokkaido do it, I think Hard Rock's going to be the front runner there. So let's see. Yeah. Anyway, that's the commentary on Japan. Anything more to add from you, Ben, on that?
No, you're right, Andrew. I mean, I think we know, at least, as you say, Hokkaido will have an operator, at least one interested, because Hard Rock they've sort of followed the MGM lead in Osaka and never really left. They've always had a foot in the door there. They've been quite open and vocal about that they were still going to be in there waiting for the opportunity. So, and we don't know what will happen anywhere else. So I don't know if any operators will put their hand up for any other location. Tokyo, they would, no doubt. But anywhere else, I don't know.
Oh, they all would. if Tokyo said, yeah, we're serious about this and we want it to happen, they'd all dive in there. You'd see Galaxy, you'd see Sands, you'd see Galaxy, you'd see all the big ones. The only one you wouldn't see is MGM because they've got Osaka. You might even see them too, but I don't think they'd get it. All right, let's move on. What's the next one, Oscar? Yeah, India. Again, I've got an ulterior motive because I want to talk about India a little bit. But perhaps, again, you can run through the story and then let's talk about Goa and India more broadly.
Well, I mean, India, whether we're talking land-based or online, there's all sorts of regulatory issues facing the industry in India at the moment. Won't go into too much what's happening with the online space. I mean, that's basically been blacklisted pending legal challenges. But this issue with Delta Corp in Goa has been going on for a few years now, and it began when the authorities in Goa slapped them initially with I think it was about a $1.3 billion charge of missed back payments on GST. And the issue revolves around how do you calculate tax and the government.
Delta Corp wouldn't even be worth $1.3 billion.
No, I think we've written a few times that's many more times their market capitalization, what the 1.3 billion was. So that would destroy the company. That's just not. They couldn't even pay. That's not possible. So yeah, I mean, it's this absurd argument over what tax should be charged on. Should it be charged on gross gaming revenues, or as the government is arguing, should it be charged on the total value of bets placed? Well, that can't be a thing. So this is the latest bill that's been sent to Delta Corp saying, oh yeah, so there's more GST you haven't paid on bets placed. It's an ongoing situation. There's been a court case going on for a long time. Haven't heard many updates. That's still ongoing. Haven't heard too much about that. So this is certainly interesting to follow, but a bizarre situation.
Well, they're either totally ignorant or they're absolutely malicious. It's got to be one or the other. I mean, it's like telling a bank, oh, you've got to pay tax on every deposit and withdrawal into every account. I mean, that's what the bets basically are, and it's not profit, and it's utterly ridiculous. So, what's going on in India? The government, various governments in India, I mean, the national government and the state governments in India have just seemed to have it out for the industry, see the industry as a cash cow, maybe. But surely they're intelligent enough to realize that these bills can't be paid. I don't understand what's going on. Are they simply just trying to tax the industry out of existence? But and is that a way of prohibition? And if that's the case, as we've talked about many times before, you're just going to get underground gambling, and you've already got underground gambling, and the underground and illegal gambling industry in India is rampant, particularly cricket betting, So, and also, rummy and all of that, and never mind, as you said, about the online gaming. If you want to know more about online gaming, go to Complete iGaming, our sister company. But I mean, it's the most populous country in the world now, population even more than China. There is a propensity to gamble. Yes, it's a poor country, but with that huge population base, a lot of rich people in India. There's I read the other day, there's nearly 100 billionaires in Mumbai, and there's 50,000 millionaires just in Mumbai. Never mind. I read that when I was doing some research for the Sri Lanka story I wrote a couple of months ago. And if people want to read that Sri Lanka story, it's in is it in the March issue or the February issue of IAG?
It's in the March issue, Andrew, and it's looking at City of Dreams, Sri Lanka, but obviously targeting the Indian market.
Yeah, targeting the Indian market. And I mean, all of this negativity and problem, problematicness, I know that's not a word, but you know what I mean, in India is offering a wonderful opportunity for Sri Lanka. If Sri Lanka could get its act together, it really should be able to do very, very well out of the Indian market, because it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from any city in India, really. The southern Indian cities, it's only an hour's flight from, or an hour and a half's flight from, and even Mumbai, the richest city in India, which is on the west coast of India, it's only, I think, a 3.5 or 4 hour flight. You could still do that for a weekend. You could fly over on a Friday afternoon, fly back on a Sunday afternoon or the Monday. If you're a millionaire with your own business, you could go for 4 or 5 days. So, I mean, gambling is human nature. There's an enormous demand for professional, well-organized gambling in India. Something's going to give at some point. I wonder what it is. But yeah, that's a big sleep. We used to talk about China as a sleeping giant. I think India is a sleeping giant too. Isn't it interesting the two big, massive population countries in Asia, India and China, which have got to make up about a third of the world's population between those two countries. Neither of them are really accepting of gambling, other than in Macau for China, of course, but nothing in mainland China and nothing in India. Imagine one of those cracks. Well, it's not going to be China, as we just said. It's not looking like India either, is it? I mean, but the opportunity, there must be companies circling. The opportunity is enormous.
Well, as you say, the Indian cricket betting industry is probably the biggest in the world, alongside the Chinese football betting industry. So, what does that tell you?
Tells you everything you need to know. It tells you there's a massive demand for gambling in both of those countries, and they're being serviced by illegal operators at the moment who are paying zero tax, have zero responsible gaming efforts, zero anti-money laundering, blah, 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 blah. We've been through it a million times before. Let's not go through it again. All right, next story, Oscar. Yeah, this was this morning, right? The MGM results for last full year of last year.
Yes, obviously MGM Resorts released the group-wide results a few weeks ago. MGM China released its results late yesterday, declared their final dividend. Look, again, strong results for MGM. Revenue, profit, growth by around 10%. Generally, record EBITDA, all-time record EBITDA for the year for MGM. So look, again, we've spoken about it many times about the great strides MGM has made post-COVID and the reasons behind it. They've really done a great job of, the quality of their product has been lifted significantly. They've done a terrific job there, Kenny Feng and company. But also, we mentioned earlier today, just this, I think they got the jump on everybody in terms of their promotional innovation, let's call it, and what they've done around that too. So they've done terrifically well, MGM. Probably the interesting thing in this story too, as picked up by JP Morgan, is that the dividend declared by MGM was pretty much in line with what MGM always said it was going to do, except JP Morgan noted that they sort of expected it to be a bit of a surprise to the upside, given that some other companies have paid out more than 50% of their profit. I think Sands was closer to 70%. So they just sort of pointed to that and mentioned there may be some pressure on earnings per share moving forward. We know that MGM has done a new deal with MGM Resorts around their branding and the annual payments they make around that. Of course, there's still 1.5 billion in non-gaming spend that MGM must spend over the next 7 years or so. 6.5 years. So, and then rising costs, the promotional environment, all sort of putting pressure on EBITDA. But no, I think overall this was, again, a very positive result for MGM China.
Look, a great result. I think JP Morgan are crying a bit unfairly there. Let MGM
maybe
do
they have shares. Maybe they have shares.
For sure. Well, they want greater revenue stream for the shareholders. It's good. It's good for them. But yeah, there's no expectation that they pay out more than they need to pay out. You've always got to keep money for a rainy day. I mean, it's funny, as soon as some level in the water goes up, everybody expects it to stay there, and that becomes a new minimum all of a sudden. And I think that's a bit demanding on MGM. But they've got all this non-gaming stuff to pay out, all the stuff we cover in New Macau. They've got to do all of that. Give them a chance, and they've got to expand. They've got to do the suites. They're doing the Alpha product as well. I think it's a great result for MGM. MGM were, pre-COVID, they were always sort of 5th or 6th, just above the SJM was always coming in at 6th or 6th. And now they're right up there at the top of the 4 that are not the big 2. So they're doing a great job with a very, very lean hotel product. And as we've discussed before, Kenny Fung's been at the helm of that, and all credit to him and of course the rest of the team. So I think great result for MGM. 1.3 billion EBITDA. For MGM, given the products that they have in Macau and Cotai and the rooms that they have. Fantastic result. And JP Morgan should just be a bit quiet there, I think. All right, that's that. And who's next? What's next, Oscar? We got anything more? Is that the last one? Because that was today. Looks like that might be the last one, I think. Yes, it is. So, Ben, let's talk a little bit about, Aussie Millions. I have made the decision that I will be coming down for Aussie Millions. I just booked late last night to fly down for Aussie Millions. So, there is one more, Oscar. This was a nice one. A couple of extra restaurants in the Michelin Guide. Let's talk about that. Just do that one quickly, Ben.
Yeah, 21 restaurants recognised. There were 19 last year. So we had 2 more restaurants added to the 1-star list. Of course, Macau has 2 3-star restaurants, which are Jade Dragon at City of Dreams and Rubbish on our Dome at Grand Lisboa.
So the 8's a 2-star now, is it?
The 8 is a 2-star. There are 6 2-star restaurants, and the 8 is one of those. I'm quite sure I wrote that this morning. And 13 1-star restaurants. Yes, there it is.
What were the 2 new ones? Do you know what the 2 new ones were?
Oh, I do mention it in there, but let's have a look. Don Alfonso, 1890, and Palace Garden, both at Grand Lisboa Resort, Grand Lisboa Palace Resort. So
both good restaurants.
Yeah, well, you've probably eaten at all these restaurants on this list, Andrew. I've eaten at a few, but not quite as often, unfortunately.
I think I might. If you put them in bold, that's helpful. Jade Dragon, Robichon, definitely. Ducat, yes. Fenway Zhu in Star World's really nice. I can recommend that to anybody. 2-star. There you go. Hui Yang Garden, I haven't eaten that. That's one. Don Alfonso, Palace Garden. Palace Garden's great at Grand Lisboa. Really interesting restaurant. 8.5's fantastic. Bombana. RG. Remember we had a Mad at RG once a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a good one. Quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good. 5 Foot Road, I've eaten it there. Laiheen, definitely. Mizumi, of course. Pearl Dragon, yes. Sushi Kinetsu. I may not have eaten at that one, I don't think. I got to catch up on my sushi when I'm in Macau. I don't think I've eaten at Sushi Kisha. Ying I have. Ziyahin I have. Zuicho is the Japanese restaurant, great Japanese restaurant in Grand Lisboa. There's only about 8 seats in that restaurant. Fantastic. So now there's 3 there that I haven't eaten at. The 2 sushis, the one at City of Dreams and one at Galaxy. I don't think I've eaten at Hui Yang Garden at the Londoner either. Might try and get all of those in when I'm next in Macau, which will be in April. What a great offering compared to what it used to be at the beginning. I remember before 2010 coming to Macau, and there was nowhere to eat much. The 8 was a big find when I remember back in the days of WGM, back around 2009, 2010, we did a review on the 8, and it didn't even have 1 star then, but it was just as good. It just hadn't been discovered by the Michelin star people yet. And it was fantastic. That was one of our regular haunts, the 8. But now look at it. I mean, you can come to Macau and eat in 21 Michelin-starred restaurants, all within a few minutes drive of each other, isn't it? Isn't it a wonderful gastronomical offering? I mean, the City of Gastronomy thing, that's not lip service. That really is true. It really is a city of gastronomy.
Yeah. I mean, that's got some terrific restaurants. It really does. I mean, notably, all of these are within integrated resorts as well. So it's no surprise that that level of offering is offered in the IRs in Macau. Probably take me a while to work my way through all these restaurants, Andrew, but I will put them on the IAG tab, and I look forward to trying them.
Okay, no worries. All right. Research. I think it's called research.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, all right, Oscar, let's put that one away and go back where we were. Unless there's another one, I don't think there is. No, that's the last one. Okay. Yeah, so I'm off to San Diego in a week's time next Friday. Not sure about IAG Live next Friday. I have to check out what time I leave. Off to San Diego for IGA, and we'll be in the US for about a week or 10 days after that. Then back to Manila for our MAD at La Vie. Perhaps you can tell the audience a little bit about La Vie, Ben, off the top of your head. Questions without notice.
La Vie, of course, is the new branding for the integrated resort product that is linked to International Entertainment Corp, the Hong Kong listed company that So this property, best known as New Coast Hotel Manila, La Vie is the broader resort concept around it. Of course, DigiPlus is in the process of obtaining a controlling stake in International Entertainment Corp, best known for their online proficiency, but moving into land-based space for a bit of diversification. So $1 billion being spent. Chairman of DigiPlus.
Yep.
Eusebio Tenko, right?
Very good. Very good.
Thank you. So look, this is sort of becoming Manila's next integrated resort. The first one, Solaire North is in Manila as well, Greater Manila. But one of the first ones outside of the Entertainment City precinct, up to $1.2 billion being spent over the next few years on the conversion. That process is underway. I guess we're going to be one of the first movers to really experience an event like this inside La Vie, Andrew.
We are. We like to try and move MAD around. We have the IAG EXPO fixed as a fixed offering. We have TIP pretty much as a fixed offering, but MAD is one that we like to really move around. I think I saw Scott's message there. Go see the Dell. I mentioned Sichuan Resort and Casino. Yeah, we'll be heading when I'm in San Diego. We'll be heading off to Sichuan Resort and Casino. Tribal, obviously. IGA, for those that don't know, IGA is the Indian Gaming Association. They're the peak body industry association for the tribal gaming industry in the US. About 1,000 casinos in the US, 500 commercial, 500 tribal, roughly. Not exact numbers, but pretty close to exact. And go see the Dell at La Vie. Very good recollection of all the entities and the names, Ben. Very good. Yeah, we've got a lot of information stuck in our heads, haven't we? Writing the stories over the years of all the different players in the industry around Asia Pacific region. And our counterparts at CDC Gaming in the US have the same for North, Central, and South America as well. Yeah, so we'll be over to La Vie for April 14. That'll give an opportunity. If you haven't, numbers are really good. It's going to be a great event. A lot of people have already RSVP'd, but we still have a little bit of room, not much, a little bit of room. So if you have received an invitation to MAD 34, I think it is, at La Vie, it's in Malate, so it's reasonably central in Manila. A little bit of a drive from Entertainment City, but not too bad. Please do join us if you want to check out what they've done there, because what they've done there is really good. It's nothing like the old Padcore Casino that we went to 20 years ago at Malate. That was probably pretty run down. Even back then, it was pretty run down. But they've got this $1.2 billion to spend, and they've US dollars to spend, and they've spent quite some of it. And we're actually holding the MAD in the lobby, where there are these 4 massive pillars all surrounded by LED screens. It's going to be a great venue. So that's that one. And then exactly a week later, on April 21, we'll be having MAD at Aurora at Altira. Tell us a bit about that, Ben.
Yeah, well, look, we've never had one at Altira before, but Aurora, it's been there for quite a long time. It's a bit of a long time. A bit of a secret, hidden surprise, I suppose, what you'd call Aurora. A beautiful Italian restaurant, beautiful deck overlooking great view out over Macau. And I think April is probably a great time of year to experience that deck too. The weather is quite mild, not too much rain, not too much humidity. So I think hopefully the weather's kind to us on that night. We can enjoy a terrific event there.
April and May and November are probably the best months in April, May, and then maybe sort of October, November are the best months in Macau for weather. So it's going to be very, very nice. Hidden gem, I think, is the expression you're looking for, Ben.
That's the
It's a
one I'm
hidden
looking
gem.
for.
There
English is my third language.
Yeah, me speak English really good. Yes, so yeah, it's going to be great. Really looking forward to it. And Aurora is a fantastic restaurant. Top level Italian restaurant in Macau. And Melco always pull out the stops for us. We've had remember we had the one at the W. We had a MAD at the W a few years ago, and special appearance by Lawrence Ho at that one, and that was great. And look, Melco are great friends of IAG, as we are great friends with all 6 concessionaires. You know, we criticise them sometimes, but when we do criticise, it's meant to be constructive criticism and honest criticism, and with a view to promoting the industry and making the industry better. And Melco are great friends of ours. Deep down inside, we really, I think I really appreciated what they tried to do in Japan. I think they were really unlucky in Japan. Melco, I think they got close on Yokohama and the concept. We even helped them with that website with the concept of what they were going to do in Yokohama, and that Yokohama missed out on. And I think that's Yokohama's loss. But anyway, Melco, the April 21 at Altira, Aurora, please join. If you've got an invitation, please reply. And if you haven't and you really want one, get in touch with us if you're watching us. There you go. See why Altira is still the gem of Taipa. Oh, I agree with that. It is the gem of Taipa. And of course, it was the first casino. Did it predate Grand Waldo, or did Grand Waldo predate Altira? Can't remember. But anyway, those two would have been the first two on the other side of Macau, including Taipa and Cotai. So they've been around for a long time. But Altira has aged well, actually. It stood up quite well over the years. It's a great property. And not long after that, the next month, before you know it, it'll be time for G2E Asia. And we'll be holding, of course, the industry party on May the 13th, the evening of day 2 of G2E Asia. That's the biggest party in Macau. That's certainly the biggest party at G2E Asia. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people come to that event. So that one, the attendance and access for that event's very strictly controlled. You have to get a ticket from either IAG. It certainly predated the Venetian Macau, Scott. Yes, it did. We'll have to get Scott on the show, I think. Yes, it was hundreds and hundreds of people at the industry party. If you want a ticket, you have to get a 3-digit numbered ticket either from IAG or one of the sponsors, and that's much harder to get than the MADs. That's quite strictly controlled attendance at that event because everyone's in town, everyone's there, so it's great. And then our next MAD will be in Macau in July, and then it rolls on from then. Before you know it, it'll be time for IAG Expo in September. And we've already been updating the website for IAG Expo September quite a lot. Not completely updated and ready yet, but very soon it will be. Lots of invitations for IAG Expo going out in the next week or two. So keep an eye open for those, and go check out IAGExpo.com, IAGEXPO.com. It is quite updated for the 2026 Expo, and over the next few weeks, it'll be completely updated for the 2026 Expo. So that's it from us. What do you got planned for the weekend, Ben? Anything?
I haven't even thought that far ahead yet, Andrew. I don't think there's too much on the agenda so far.
No, that's good. Just take a bit of a rest. I think we all need it. And to all of you out there, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday for IAG Live. I think, but I'm traveling on that day. We'll figure it out. We'll see you next Friday for IAG Live, and the Friday after, I will be in San Diego. So I'll be doing it from San Diego. All right. Have a great weekend, Ben. Have a great weekend to all of you, and keep following IAG. I think that's it for us. Bye for now. See ya.